So in 2006, you start Viagogo, and tell us what it is and how is it different, and what have you sort of done differently this time around?
Sure. So I think the first thing is you can think of simplistically what we do as being StubHub Europe. So I think the first thing which was very different is I had to go start a business in Europe, and actually moved over to London. I've traveled before. I've never lived abroad. So I had to go, I had my backers who'd backed us before, gave me some money, some of the investors, but tried to get some European investors. Then I had to sort of relate to doing business over there. And so, and we launched in Germany and the UK first at the same time. There's been a real education to start a business over in Europe. And I think culturally, even going over to the UK, you sort of assume that you speak English, but you quickly learn that you speak American. It's very challenging. I remember trying to set up our office. I'm over there with one guy and trying to get a bank account open, and I'm screaming on the phone, as I tend to do, and swearing at the guy, and screw this and screw that, and where's my account? And the guy says to me, "Do I detect a note of hostility?" So that's, wow. That actually happened, and that's very common. So how to deal with that, how to motivate employees over there. Generally outside this country, in the UK, they're not interested in stock. So you could get Joe Employee X and be like, I could pay you $99 and 1,000,000 stock options, or $100 and 1 stock option. And they're like, no, 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 $100. Don't fool me with your wampum, yeah, I mean, so it's you got to get that mentality, and you have to realize you have to relate to people, because simply coming over there and saying, hey, I'm an American, I know best, and I'm moving over there in 2006, and George Bush is president. I mean, right? So every person I meet with, it's like I actually make national policy. And like, I personally put George Bush into office, and I'm like, I'm as upset as you are. I mean, what do you want me to do? I don't talk to the man. So that was definitely a thing. So it was interesting. It's harder to set up a business internationally than it is in the States, but it's much more defensible for those reasons. It certainly made me take for granted the great entrepreneurial system and business system here in the States. As flawed as it may be, it's very pro-capitalism, even with whatever else may go on. In terms of positives, obviously doing something the second time around is certainly much easier to raise money, easier to understand what you had to do and not have to do. You're constantly learning and evolving, but certainly was able to, if you do something the second time around, you certainly should do it bigger and better, hopefully. And also trying to constantly evolve the business. So it was definitely been an experience.
So your vision for Viagogo is different, larger than
We
StubHub?
want world domination, Dave. World domination, one ticket at a time. No, I think, look, we, internationally, everything outside the U.S. You have Asia, Latin America, plenty of places. We're doing tons in Europe. We think that we're continuing to innovate and improve the business. One thing that you definitely learn once you've gone overseas is that Americans, and I would, include myself before, very myopic. It's sort of like, it's just the U.S. is the market. You don't really think of, I don't know where the Netherlands are on a map. I don't even think about that. But you can really see that there's a huge international play and a lot of opportunity. And that's, it's very challenging. You got to go into new markets, but it's exciting.